The bass from my garage speakers wasn't even that loud. I'd checked the decibel meter myself. Barely 70 dB, well within the neighborhood's 85 dB limit until 10 p.m. It was only 7:30 on a Saturday evening, and I was hosting what I thought would be a quiet celebration for my brother Jake's promotion to police sergeant. I should have known Linda Pemberton wouldn't see it that way. Linda had been the self-appointed queen of Meadowbrook Heights, HOA, for the past 8 years. She lived 3 houses down in a pristine colonial with a lawn so perfect it looked artificial. From the moment I'd moved into the neighborhood 2 years ago, she'd made it her personal mission to ensure I understood the standards we maintain here. My garage door was open, revealing my modest setup. A few folding tables with snacks, a cooler full of drinks, and about 15 people standing around laughing and talking. Nothing wild, nothing inappropriate, just adults enjoying a Saturday evening. That's when I saw her marching down the sidewalk, her phone pressed against her ear, her face twisted in that particular expression of righteous fury I'd come to recognize. "Oh no," my brother Jake muttered, following my gaze. He was still in his civilian clothes, jeans and a police academy t-shirt, along with most of his colleagues from the precinct. "Is that the HOA lady you told me about?" "That's her," I said, setting down my beer. "Everyone, just stay cool." Linda stopped at the edge of my driveway, still on her phone. Her voice carried clearly over the music. "Yes, I'm calling to report a massive disturbance. There are at least 30 people here. The music is deafening, and I'm certain I smell marijuana." My jaw dropped. 30 people? Marijuana? I glanced around at the 15 off-duty police officers in my garage, none of whom were doing anything more rebellious than eating potato chips. "Ma'am," I called out, walking toward her. "Linda, there's no need to call the police. We're well within." She held up one perfectly manicured finger to silence me, continuing her dramatic report. "The homeowner is clearly intoxicated and becoming aggressive. I feel threatened. I need officers here immediately." Aggressive? I stopped in my tracks, making sure to keep my voice calm and my hands visible. I'd learned long ago that nothing good came from escalating with Linda. "I'm standing 10 feet away from you," speaking normally. Jake stepped up beside me, and I caught him exchanging amused glances with his partner, Detective Sarah Chun, who was trying very hard not to laugh. "Yes, I'll stay on the line," Linda continued, completely ignoring me. "I'm a concerned citizen and a board member of the Homeowners Association. This kind of behavior is exactly what brings down property values." "Linda," I tried again. I checked the noise ordinances. "I'm following every rule in the HOA covenant. We're just having a small gathering." She finally lowered the phone slightly, though she kept it near her ear. "Small gathering? I can hear that racket from my house. And you know the rules. Any gathering of more than 10 people requires written permission from a board, submitted at least 72 hours in advance." I blinked. "That's not in the covenant. I've read it cover to cover. It's in the supplemental amendments from the 2019 meeting," she said smugly, "which you would know if you bothered attending our monthly meetings instead of flagrantly disregarding community standards." Behind me, I heard someone snort with laughter. It was Officer Mike Rodriguez, a 15-year veteran who'd apparently heard enough. "Ma'am," Mike called out, walking over with his characteristic confidence, "I think there might be some confusion here." Linda's eyes narrowed. "I don't know who you are, but this is between me and this homeowner. I suggest," Mike interrupted gently but firmly, "that you might want to reconsider that 911 call, because making a false report is actually a crime." "False report?" Linda's voice went shrill. "I am reporting exactly what I see. A noisy party, possible drug use, and now intimidation from guests who clearly—" "Hi there." Sarah Chin approached with her badge in hand, that friendly smile she used when de-escalating situations. "Detective Sarah Chun, Metro PD. Just wanted to introduce myself, since you're so concerned about law enforcement presence in the neighborhood." The color drained from Linda's face as Sarah held up her badge. Then Jake stepped forward, pulling out his own badge. "Sergeant Jake Morrison. Nice to meet you." One by one, Every single person in my garage began producing badges and credentials. Patrol officers, detectives, even Lieutenant David Park, who'd been quietly grilling burgers in the corner. "So you see," Jake continued, his voice perfectly professional, "when you called 911 to report this massive disturbance, you were actually reporting a gathering of off-duty police officers who are all currently verifying that no laws, noise ordinances, or HOA regulations are being violated." Linda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. The phone was still at her ear, and I could faintly hear the 911 dispatcher asking if she was still there. "Ma'am," Sarah said gently, "you might want to cancel that call." Linda's face had gone from white to crimson. She mumbled something into the phone about a mistake and ended the call. For a moment, she just stood there, clearly trying to figure out how to regain the upper hand. "This doesn't change anything," she finally said, her voice shaking slightly. "There are still rules, and I will be filing a formal complaint with the HOA board." "About what specifically?" I asked, genuinely curious now. "The noise, the gathering without permission, She was grasping at straws. "You're using your garage for purposes other than vehicle storage. That's clearly prohibited." Lieutenant Park wandered over, burger flipper still in hand. "Ma'am, I'm curious about the supplemental amendment you mentioned. The one requiring permission for gatherings of more than 10 people. It's in the records," Linda stammered, "because that would likely violate freedom of assembly." Park continued conversationally, "especially on private property. Might even open the HOA up to a lawsuit if they tried to enforce it." I watched Linda's confidence crumble in real time. She looked around at all the badges, all the calm, professional faces watching her with varying degrees of amusement. "I have every right to ensure this neighborhood maintains its standards," she said, but her voice had lost its edge. "I pay my dues, I follow the rules, and I expect others to do the same." "And we are following the rules," I said, keeping my tone even. "I've measured the noise level, checked the ordinances, and made sure not to disturb anyone. All I'm doing is hosting friends at my own home. Friends who happen to be police officers," Jake added with a slight smile. Linda's eyes darted between us, and I could see her trying to figure out an exit strategy. Finally, she drew herself up to her full height, all 5 feet 3 inches of it. "Well," she said stiffly, "I expect the noise to remain at acceptable levels. And next time, perhaps you can inform the neighbors before hosting such gatherings. It's common courtesy." She turned on her heel and marched back toward her house, her earlier fury replaced by humiliated dignity. As soon as she was out of earshot, the entire garage erupted in laughter. "That," Mike said, wiping tears from his eyes, "was the best Saturday evening I've had in months." "Did you see her face when we all started showing badges?" Sarah was grinning. I thought she was going to pass out. Jake clapped me on the shoulder. "Sorry, little brother. I think you just made an enemy for life." "Worth it," I said, grinning despite myself. Lieutenant Park returned his burgers, calling out, "Someone turn the music up a bit. We're at 70 decibels. We got another 15 to work with." The party continued, now with even better spirits. My neighbors on either side, Jim and Carol, a retired couple who actually came over when they heard the commotion, joined us and laughed until they cried when they heard what happened. Around 9 p.m., a squad car actually did pull up. We all froze for a moment before recognizing Officers Thompson and Garcia, who were responding to Linda's call despite her cancellation. "We got a noise complaint." Thompson started, then stopped when he saw who was in the garage. "Oh, come on. This is where the Sarge's party is." "You're late," Jay called out, "but there's still food." The 2 on-duty officers stayed just long enough to verify everything was fine and grabbed some burgers, shaking their heads at the story of Linda's 911 call. By 10 p.m., we voluntarily turned down the music. By 11 p.m., everyone had gone home peacefully. My garage was clean by midnight. The next morning, I found a formal HOA violation notice on my door, citing disturbance of the peace. I photographed it, documented everything from the previous evening, and prepared my response. At the next HOA meeting, I brought my sound meter readings. photos time-stamped throughout the evening, and a detailed breakdown of every regulation in the covenant. I also brought Jake in his sergeant's uniform, just to make sure Linda understood the full picture. The other board members, who'd apparently grown tired of Linda's constant complaints about everyone, quickly dismissed her violation report. One even apologized to me for the harassment. Linda resigned from the HOA board 2 months later, around the time I hosted Jake's birthday party. That gathering was slightly louder, slightly later, and featured twice as many off-duty officers. She never called 911 again.